Good Friday morning, friends. Welcome back for another episode of the Finding God in the Dark podcast. My name is Don,
My name is Jonathan.
and we are very excited this week. We are talking about the 1999 film The Matrix, and we are really excited to have a guest on this morning. This is Reverend Stephen Faller. He is a chaplain. He has written a book that I adore, actually, and
Thank you
about
very
the
much.
theology of the Matrix. Stephen, do you want to tell the audience a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, thank you for the intro. I appreciate the warmth. It's lovely to be here. I am Chaplain Steve Faller, um, and a long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, I wrote that book in 2003, and it was published in 2004.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of lore behind that. I have done other books since then. Strangely, this is the one that still gets hits today.
Cool.
So that's how things. I mean, I think because there's so many Wikipedia pages that touch the Matrix, it
Yeah.
kind of pulls everything forward.
Yeah.
Um, and my thoughts have changed a lot. I was really, really close to writing a follow-up book,
Mm.
uh, and I wrote other things about the Matrix that were never published.
Mm.
So I can't wait to talk to you guys today, and it's fun to be with you.
Awesome.
As I said, we're thrilled to have you here.
Yeah.
We generally, John will send me, we watch the film sometime in the week before we talk. John will take notes and sends me his notes. And then we just try to touch on some of what we see as the theological themes and ideas in the film. Um, Honestly, I think that people are coming back to your book a lot because this film feels timeless.
It is.
Right.
There are so many thoughts and ideas in this film that come up again and again and again in popular culture. Oh, we're in a matrix. Oh, this is a simulation. There is no spoon. Some of these ideas and thoughts keep
Yeah.
coming up, and it is an eminently quotable. My
Yeah.
friends outside of the ministry, it's like these one of these things we think in movie lines, and
Well, you know,
lines from this film come up all the time. So,
let me say quietly in the backdrop of everything, conservatives today are self-declared red pills. Where do you think that comes from?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
on the other side, they call themselves woke.
mhm.
Yeah.
So, like
Yeah.
both of those are Matrix
References.
references,
Yeah. Yeah.
They
whether
certainly
you
are.
know it or not. But
Yeah.
so, unlike so many other movies, this movie really changed how we see ourselves.
Yeah.
It does. It's a cultural phenomenon. The first film was amazing. The second two were good, and then the fourth one. Well, let's not talk about the fourth one.
Okay.
I couldn't even get all the way through it, but that's another story. So, John, I'm going to let you. Where would you like to start, and then
Well,
Steve, you jump in as you feel led.
since we have an expert here, and
Yes.
since we want to talk theology anyway, I'm just gonna jump in. When I watch these movies now, I take notes. Obviously, I send you the notes, and it changes how I watch movies, which is kind of interesting. But one of the things I thought about this time that I never have really thought about is this is kind of a modern take, I would argue, a modern take on Plato's The Cave. Um, so just so people watching, if you don't know, Plato had a well-known illustration of life where he talks about the idea that um, imagine that we're all trapped in a cave, but we don't know it, and we're basically forced to just watch the back wall of the cave, and that's all we can do and move. We can't move very much, and we think that's life. And so, on the back of the wall of the cave that we see people moving, we see shadows moving, really, and things. and we think that's life. And then one day you escape from the cave and you go out into the real world and you realize there's sun and there's people. They're not just shadows. There's actually life out here. It's actually real life, and we're trapped in a cave. And he uses that illustration to talk about, he feels like that's the philosophical life, is recognizing that most people are trapped in the cave, and then you have to decide once you get out, and once you kind of become, in his terms, awakened. He wouldn't have used woke, but that idea of kind of coming to the reality of what really life is. You have a choice. Are you going to stay outside, or are you going to go back into the cave and try to rescue more people? And he argues that we are called to rescue more people. And in a weird way, I feel like this is a take on that. I don't know why I never thought of it before, but I feel like in a weird way, this is their modern take on that kind of analogy. I don't know if anyone wants to jump on that or tell me I'm wrong, but
I think that's a great starting point. There's a beautiful claymation synopsis of the cave that is easy to find on YouTube.
oh,
So just type in something like claymation Plato's cave,
okay,
and it's like a 2 minute clip, and it sums up the whole thing,
yeah,
and it's vivid and visceral and wonderful. You're not wrong. People have been doing that with Plato's Cave since the movie came out.
yeah,
Um, the other big book on this trilogy, um, and when I wrote my book, this was the only other book. And then by the time my book got published, there were like 10. Uh, so it was called Philosophy and the Matrix. And I think it was through that pop philosophy series. If I thought about it for 2 seconds, I could conjure the publisher for you. Um, and a lot of essays on Plato and the
yeah,
cave
yeah,
and this. So uh, I think that's absolutely true. I think Plato fell in love with this because it described his teacher's ministry.
yeah,
And Plato's text is actually a little more grisly than what you said
yeah,
because
yes, that's true.
people in the cave don't want to hear it.
Yeah,
Uh,
they're
and,
angry and yeah, yeah,
and they kill
mm,
the liberator,
yeah,
which for Christians has a unique resonance.
yeah,
And this becomes a really nice metaphor for the ministry of Jesus.
sure.
Um, and I always tell my CPE students it's not ministry until the people you're serving are trying to kill you. And
Yes.
then it's ministry. At that point, ministry has arrived.
Having come out of a situation that's pretty close to that, I can say,
Yeah,
unfortunately, that's true.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
it's interesting in that this in the context of this film, then the people in the cave are Cypher, right?
Yeah,
The ones who maybe even know what's
yeah,
outside
I don't
and
want to go
don't
back.
want to be
Yeah.
liberated. Just put me back in the cave. I was comfortable there.
Well, and to me, Cypher is an interesting conversation about how many people want to claim Christianity, but don't actually want Christianity to change them.
right.
Don't want to actually, and that's what's interesting is, in the milieu of this movie, right? These people, the people on the ship, and these people that are kind of in and out of the matrix, they're the liberated ones. They're truly living life, but they're not rich. They're eating gruel. They're wearing worn down clothes, and it's interesting to reflect on the fact that in Christianity, unfortunately, we have things like the prosperity gospel, with this idea that if you connect with Jesus, all your problems are going to be solved. You're going to have the biggest house on the neighborhood. You're going to have more success than you can imagine. And that wasn't the reality of the early church. I don't think that's the reality of the message of Jesus. It's the idea that you're called to be freed and to help other people be in relationship to God so they can experience freedom. And that doesn't necessarily mean all your problems are going to be solved. It doesn't mean you're going to have the best life ever. It means that you're going to be free and awakened, and you're going to be, as Paul puts it in one of his letters, you know, you know that morning has come, so stop dressing and acting like it's night. That's the shift. It's not a shift of success or riches or fame. And so that the cipher thing's interesting because he wants to forget that he's free because he realizes freedom doesn't always equate with success and materialism and the things that sometimes we look for in our lives.
There's an interesting, I think one of the quotes ties into that, there's a difference between knowing the path and walking the path,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
I think Morpheus says that in the
yeah,
film.
yeah.
Um,
I,
it,
I want to say it's the Oracle, but it's been a minute since I've looked at it.
Yeah,
So
yeah. It was more Morpheus because it's an exchange with him and Neo about Neo starting to believe, and he's like, "You realize soon what I know, that there's a difference between knowing the path and walking the path." But that's true of any spiritual tradition, right? You can know the basics of Buddhism, but do you actually meditate and do you actually try to focus on um, breaking down how you kind of ignore life, and are you actually present? You can do that with Christianity. You know the way of Jesus, but actually, do you follow and allow that way to change you? You can talk
well,
about that in any kind of religious context. You can kind of do an academic paper about this, but do you actually try to make it part of your life or not?
I think there's a truism here that calls the film into question.
So,
Uh, one of the most uh, exciting things about the film is the idea of the Matrix. And we already started with that. This is an idea that has permeated our culture.
yeah,
Um, but there's a real difference between what we know and what we commit to,
yeah,
and thereby where we experience cost and sacrifice
yeah,
versus what we think.
yeah,
And so in this way, Morpheus wants to say, um, your walking this is a different thing than a cognitive idea. And I think this is the great temptation, if you will, of the cave. This is why the cave needs its own cave. You need a cave within the cave because you can think you're free.
yeah,
Uh, I watched the movie. I became a Wachowski fan, and now I'm free.
yeah,
And it's not that simple.
yeah,
hmm,
yeah.
amazing. Um, what else? Well, let me throw it to you, Stephen. What else do you feel is important for us to take out of seeing this film from a Christian perspective?
I mean, my own position toward the films has gotten more critical with the years.
Mhm.
And I kind of think um, that's a function of time. Like, as time goes on and as culture changes, and as things go from bad to worse, I sit back and I say, okay, how did we get here? So I think in the Matrix in particular, which is perfectly um, neutral to even inspiring, uh, it kind of opens the door to this pop Gnosticism,
Mm,
which has really infiltrated our storytelling.
mm,
So, um, where you have these hidden pathways to enlightenment,
Mm.
where we are encouraged to save ourselves. as if there were no role for a savior.
Yeah.
And it's this very popular Gnosticism, which uh, kind of you find in movies like Truman Show and uh, these false constructs, and you see it a lot in the Disney Tron movies, where you have this world within a world within a world, and all the people who we think are the good guys are the bad guys, and the creator creates this prison, and the liberator um, um, is the rebel.
Yeah.
So while I think that the Matrix is anchored to some more classical sources that give it a foothold that help it stand the test of time, you can also see its impact as the beginning of what I call a pop Gnosticism.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about, again, it's really been fascinating taking notes and thinking about talking about movies. It's changed. I don't know how Dawn feels, but it's changed how I come to movies now. And one of the things I had never really thought about, except when I watched it this time, is again, and it's something I'm critical about being a person with disability, but there was this sense that the body wasn't that important. You know, you like he even says one time, well, the mind can't live without the body, but yeah, but the body can't live without the mind. Like it goes both ways. Like you need a body, you know, and that's one of the key things in Christianity is it's this idea that it's again it's borrowed from Jewish understanding of the resurrection of the dead, but the body and the mind are essential for us to being human. We need both of them.
Yeah.
And this movie has this idea, you know, again, it speaks to the Gnosticism that you're speaking about, this idea that the true thing that we are is the mind. And we're trapped in this body. And that's honestly, it's a Platonic thought too, you know, but this idea, I think, is really harmful to people that have disabilities and diseases. I think it's harmful for everybody because our bodies are important. Our bodies matter. How we
I
treat
mean,
our bodies and how we treat other people's bodies are important, not just about our minds or our spirits.
I think there's something important we have to do here before we go too far along. And I agree with your saying with
Yeah,
what you're both saying here. But some of the folks that are watching may not understand what Gnosticism is.
yeah,
The idea Gnosticism comes from the word gnosis, Gnosis, means knowledge.
yeah,
And Gnosticism was a belief in the early church that you had to have a special knowledge, a special understanding of Jesus to be saved. It's a heretical idea. It's not, it's not the gospel. So, understanding that, I want folks that are, casually watching to, they go,
well,
this episode, I have no idea what they talked about.
so another aspect of Gnosticism, well, just while you're offering explanations, I'll
Mhm.
be
Sure.
very brief, is its emphasis on dualism. And you see this
Right.
strongly in the Matrix movies with
yeah,
its black and white symbolism.
yeah,
Uh, it's red pill, it's blue pill, it's humans versus agents. And that dualistic thinking has really embedded itself in our entire um, social landscape, where
Yeah.
churches no longer feel the need to proclaim anything, but to represent a polarized point of view.
There's the word I was thinking, polarization. It really it's an idea that has polarized our society to a huge extent.
Yeah.
To the point where, and I've said this about our own denomination, about the UMC, that there have been prior to the recent split, we couldn't even talk with each other. We would talk past each other. So
and it's worse after the split. After the split, we're not talking at all.
yes, you're right.
Yeah.
By the way, Jonathan, just in the interest of full disclosure, I think I had the same disability as you. I got the same hand.
Yes.
So,
Kindred spirits.
Yes. But no, the and again, you think about, for example, this is another good example of art and how once you create art and you send it out into the world, it becomes something else for somebody else. I mean, Gadamer, a well-known literary critic in the 20th century, talks about if you come to a text and you bring your baggage to the text, you create something new. And it's hard now not to see like that scene where they go into the secure building and the trench coats and not think about Columbine, because that inspired the gentleman who unfortunately shot up that school. They dress like the Matrix. We have this idea of, again, us and them, this idea that they talk openly about if there's if these people that are plugged in the Matrix, they're not with us. And so if you need to kill, there's no conversation about all of these people that get killed. There's no like struggle with that. And again, that is a very negative part of our politics today, whereas the people on the other side are just evil, and they're
demons. They're
things
demons.
that we can kind of push to the margins. They don't matter.
Yeah.
And, that's not what kind of at the base of Christianity is. Again, Jesus is things like pray for your enemies, love your enemies, pray for those who persecute you.
So I don't know.
Have we narrowed down the root cause of the issues in our current society? Come back to the Wachowski brothers and the Matrix movies.
No, but I do think it's a powerful way to have that conversation, because it has, art comes out of culture. And so these things were floating around in culture when they created this movie. And I think they did it so well that it kind of galvanized where people were.
It resonated with both sides for certain. God, you were going to say something, Stephen. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
Sure, no. It's all good. I mean, after this movie, I wrote a book about my ministry as a disabled person, called Confessions of a Circuit Rider. And I really spend a lot of time talking about what dualism has done to our culture and to our churches. And we think that propagating the gospel is synonymous with propagating the dualism. If I can tell you who to hate, I have taught you the gospel. And that ain't it. So I think that there are some wonderful things, especially in this first film, that point higher, almost transcendently. But I don't think you can have this conversation without really looking at some of the negative effects of dualism and pop Gnosticism.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I have used this film like on a youth retreat as an example. I kind of deceived the kids. I said, look, tonight we're going to watch a movie. It's a movie about a man whose coming was prophesied. It was said he would live, that he would die, and he would save the whole world. You know what we're watching? They all went, oh, it's going to be a Jesus movie. No, it's the Matrix. So Neo is a Christ figure in this film.
Yeah.
But
right. Well, it's kind of like the way they do the switcheroo, like in Star Wars, where there is a prophesied chosen one, and it turns out to be the Antichrist.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's Darth Vader.
Yeah.
Sorry, for those of you who haven't seen Star Wars, I just let the cat out of the bag.
Yeah. I don't think you're surprising anyone.
I don't think so. That's another pop culture phenomenon in Star Wars. So we are getting a little close to our time, and boy, we could. I mean, if we had hours to talk, there's a whole lot to dig into here. Um, Friends, this is, I think, the bottom line for all three of us is, yes, this is an entertaining film, but there's so much more to it,
Yeah.
in depth, and it's certainly in pop culture influence than I think a lot of us even think about. So I'll throw out maybe the warning that I've thrown out in the past: be discerning about the films you watch. Um,
Well,
they're
yeah.
fun, but what is it? What's it teaching you? You know.
Yeah, I think what's interesting is to reflect on the depth of this movie, how it touches 1,000 different philosophical ideas, but I do think it's worth thinking about what do we do with the people that disagree with us? Because in this movie, the people that disagree with them, they're trash. They can be easily thrown away and not dealt with. And what I like to remind my congregation all the time is the liberals or the conservatives aren't going to go away. So how do you live with them? How do you make community with them? How do you make peace with them? How do you develop a positive relationship with them?
And,
You know,
and just so you know, Stephen, that's part of what Jonathan and I do because we are on opposite sides of that
Oh,
spectrum.
I see.
And so we come at these with different ideas, and we've actually done, for those who watched for a long time, we did a live broadcast back before the 2024 election that we called Surviving the Election, where we talked about how folks can, have these
better
discussions and still,
conversation.
have the
It's
conversations and
it's
not kill each
funny.
other.
E- Election night. I did a webinar series called Beyond Dualism.
Yeah.
Has and I think I used some artwork from the Matrix to try to promote it.
Wow.
Um, um, so, by the way, you guys have done a great job. I can't tell which of you is the liberal and which of you is the conservative. So, hats off to you.
Do we want to out ourselves, John?
No, it's a mystery worth ruminating on.
So that's good. And something about what you said, John, about how we live with people and how we make.
Well, no,
For
I
me,
just I one of the things that I think it's because I was doing this for this broadcast, and a big thing of why we do this is we want to help people have better relationships. But in this movie, there's no thought at all about the people that they have to kill, the people on the other side. There's
yeah,
no. It's
the,
just it's a reality. There are enemies. We have to get rid of them. And
yeah,
to me, one of the most powerfully beautiful things about Jesus Christ is he says, no, you don't get to get rid of your enemies. You need to love them so they cease to be your enemies.
yeah.
So
So I mean, I think what I would say is that for me, as time went on, I've re-anchored the story, not in Plato's cave,
mm,
but in the Apostles' Creed
mm,
and the harrowing of hell. What does it mean to go into the dark place and find the captives and bring them out? Um,
that's beautiful.
Okay. And I'm going to leave us with that thought. You
Yeah,
folks, ponder that.
that's
Okay.
beautiful. No,
Um, Stephen, I can't thank you enough for coming on and
yes, thank
sharing
you
with
very
us. I
much.
really can. Thank you
you
so
guys are
much.
the best. Where are
Uh,
your churches?
what's that?
Where are your churches?
Jonathan, you're
I'm Lacey United Methodist Church, kind of near Tom's River.
And
Okay.
I serve two little churches, one in Salem County, Asbury and Woodstown, and St. John's in Harrisonville.
That's wonderful. I do chaplaincy all over New Jersey, and I really hope to see you guys at conference.
That
Yeah.
we will be there.
Yeah, we'll come
We'll
find you.
absolutely be there. Friends, we do not have a film picked out for next week. We are trying to work on having guests on for several weeks in a row. So Jonathan and I are going to work that out, whether we have a guest who picks a film or we pick the film for next week. So that will be worked out. So it'll be a surprise.
Yeah, cool.
Oh, until next week, friends, keep on finding God in the dark. Thanks for watching. We'll see y'all later. Take care and God bless.
Bye.
Oh, hey, you made it all the way to the end of the video. Well, thanks for watching. We appreciate your support. And friends, if you find anything that's really wonderful or entertaining or helpful in your Christian walk, we want to encourage you to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, share this video with your friends. We publish every Friday morning at 10 a.m. And we hope that you continue to find these videos and these discussions entertaining and informative. Take care and God bless. Bye.